everyone, this is Chris Martinson, CEO of Peak Prosperity, and it's Tuesday, December 11th, and as you can tell, I'm not in wintry New England at this point in time. As we look around, I'm completely surrounded by the gorgeous rainforests of Costa Rica, and I am down here investigating whether this is a good country to set up and own some land in, and maybe have a second place or a place to go. And I have to tell you that it is unbelievably refreshing to be surrounded by actual biodiversity. I'd forgotten what it was like. The bird life here, the insects, it is still astonishingly full of life here, and this reflects the values of the country. The people here, the government, they are very, very serious about preserving as much nature as they possibly can, and it shows. So here we are at this stage of human evolution, and I've been writing a lot about, my catchphrase recently has been until and unless. Until and unless. Until and unless we do a lot of things differently, we're going to keep going on the same trajectories that we're on. And that catchphrase, I've been using it a lot around the central banks. And until and unless they print more money and put more quantitative easing in, we're going to get markets being more volatile and going lower. And of course, that's something that the central banks are afraid of, because they have these completely fake markets that they love to have go higher and higher. But of course, all that does is benefit the 1% or the 0.1%, or however you're measuring these things. And that's giving us things like the riots in France, which I just wrote about. Pretty exciting in many respects to see that the people have decided that they've had enough, because it's time. People, it is time. We have to have had enough at this point. We need to start doing things very differently, and until and unless we do, we're going to just keep getting more of the same. And what is more of the same? We're losing soil, we're losing fresh water, we're losing insects, biodiversity, we are losing any hope of a future we can believe in. And until and unless we start being serious about reconfiguring our energy infrastructure, we're going to face a future where we just run out of food and fuel. Bad situation for whatever of the billions of people, 8, 9, 10 billion people. Whenever that day comes, until and unless we get serious about reconfiguring things, we're going to get more of the same. And so here in Costa Rica, this past year, I think they had almost 300 plus days. Let me put it that way. I'm sure of that. 300 plus days where 100% of their electricity production came from alternative energy. Now they've got great geography and a lot of rain, so they have hydro, but they also have windmills that are just cranking away across the divide here that divides the country between the Atlantic and the Pacific basins, and they've got a lot of solar and things like that, so, and geothermal. So blessed country in many respects. But here's a country that has decided, instead of a military, it's going to put its money into providing for its people in terms of energy, in terms of healthcare. It's remarkable how differently things operate down here when you live in a place where the government serves the people. Not saying it's without its faults and all of that, but compared to the neoliberal economic policies of the Western OECD countries, which Macron is now just the absolute reprehensible figurehead of, for France, watching all of that happen in real time is just absolute proof positive that the elites will always go too far. History says, why should this time be any different? It's not going to be. And we're seeing that really play out now. And so Costa Rica is pretty astonishingly different in a lot of respects. It's not entirely without its faults, but oh my gosh, this morning as I sat down on a porch, and the proprietor of this wonderful little place, Chalet Nicolas, here in the Arenal region, just put out some bananas, which he's been doing every morning for a long time, and toucans came in, and these honey creepers, and probably 25 different species of birds this morning, all flocking in, wanting to have their share of the bananas being put out. And it was just, I haven't seen bird diversity like that in a long time. And it was really heartwarming and wonderful to see. And it just feels amazing to be surrounded by this much life. And so with that, I would invite anybody who wants to come check this out. The Arenal region is absolutely astonishing, and it's wonderful to be here and to see what's going on. So with that, I would invite you to, if you want to, check out, we're writing about the evolving economic conditions all the time. Again, not because markets are the most important thing in the world, but they are the great signaling mechanisms that will allow more and more people to wake up to what's going on. And that's happening all the time. Glad to have my own small role in making that happen and helping that along, because it's time. And until and unless we really begin to do things differently, we're just going to get more of the same. And more of the same is not healthy for us, for the planet, for any sense of the future, for any of that stuff. So time for neoliberal economics, time for the growth model to die. It's had a good run. Let's give it a good death, and let's get those new models and systems up and running. And for me, that's about abundance. It's about creating abundance for all life. It's about using these incredible human brains we've got to do regenerative and things that create more abundance, those sorts of activities, instead of just extract, consume, deplete. That model's got to be over. So let's get into the new model. Can't happen fast enough. Old one's got to go. That's why we track what's breaking down across the world. And we're seeing that in the revolts that are happening. The Yellow Vest movement from France, Les Gilets, has moved into other countries. I hope it spreads across the world to all the places where people are being slowly ground down by a rapacious, greedy set of elites who don't know any better and are in their own little bubble and can't possibly understand what's really happening because of how they've insulated themselves from life, from the people they allegedly serve. So with that, I'm Chris Martinson. I will see you next time, and I'm going to continue my walk through a rainforest where it's raining. Next time.